They may be pushing it a bit aggressively here, and so you'll see this sometimes, a curveball, a paranoia, and a dash really aggressively playing down C long, and it doesn't look like it's going to be as hot and as heavy as may have been predicted, but they did show some presence, right? They drew out that paranoia from Floppy, and now they're going to pull off.
Yeah, we get that presence up a short, and the question is whether or not this will be slowed down at all by Andbox. They've got, oh, well, Seb's actually going to try to meet the push, takes down Leaf, and the trades are looking fantastic for Cloud9. So they've overrun the side, they've got themselves a pretty solid position here. A 4 versus 3, this retake is certainly going to be difficult here for Andbox. We'll have to see what they're able to do, though.
It is going to be difficult indeed. You look at the health bars for the remaining members on Andbox, and you know, if you look at Boy, funnily, and he very well may die here. Mata's the first to drop. Boy follows shortly thereafter, and it looks like for now Cloud9 have been able to tighten their grip on this site and look to try to win the pistol. We'll see if Ye can do anything about it, though. He does have a sheriff, right? And we've seen sheriffs, they can do some pretty filthy things, but doesn't look like it's going to be the case here. So Cloud9, they dial up a little something, they get onto A, and they win the pistol.
Lovely. Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. You get that early round working out for you, and you can start to condition your opponents. You have to, of course, deal with the eco round that's about to come here, but I think it was cool to see that we did have Andbox on the defense trying to take the initiative with that C long play, but unfortunately that did weaken their response to at least prevent the A site from being overrun. But that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes when you pick these early openings. You can't really predict what your opponent is doing off the bat.
I will find you.
So for Andbox, they're going to be bringing a couple sheriffs in to this next round, but no large force up. They're not buying into stingers or specters even. And it also doesn't look like they're showing really anything aggressively down too long like they have in the past. Now they did hit the dart from Sova down a long, but that's really all the utility they've shown so far.
Yeah, big focus here on this C-long push right now. I can see Leaf, putting forward the boombot through into the smoke to try to punish anybody standing in the smoke, and that's a lot of presence, and you can see the respect of that presence from Cloud9.
Right. Or
rather, sorry, from Andbox. Sorry, he's, rotating players over towards C, trying to be in position against this overwhelming force of Cloud9. He's now switching things up towards A, having just pull players away from that side of the map. You can see the response in the rotation, trying to get that info, creeping around in mid is Andbox, and unfortunately for them, it's going to be retake shenanigans, and unfortunately that's generally tends to be very difficult when you don't have utility or, of course, any equipment. So perhaps just looking to try to steal some guns away, and you can see they've got a setup on both exits.
Yeah, so that really may be what they're playing for here for, as you mentioned, exits, try to hurt some of the economy, perhaps force them to buy up into that next round. And Dan, we just saw in that round some of what we were alluding to earlier, where the attacking team really can dictate the pace of the rounds. And you can hear that and go, well, Doug, of course, right? They're on attack. They're going to dictate the pace of the round more often than not. But you see how, because of the fact that this map has 3 sites, you invest a bit of utility on C, you make a bit of noise, and all of a sudden, especially in a situation where Andbox doesn't have ideal weaponry to fight back with, you've got to rotate around. Gosh, they just got absolutely no strides. You've got to respond to that, right? So you see them all book it towards C, and then Cloud9 says, all right, we got you where we want you, and they can waltz into A for free.
Definitely, and that's a great way to play an anti-eco, just sort of punishing the fact that the team on the pistols needs to make those quick adjustments, and they have to gamble, and so great punish there coming through from Cloud9 Blue, and it's going to be now the first gun round, so we'll see Andbox with more to work from, and I'm curious whether we'll see something passive, or if they'll just try and to get some early information, and it seems like that could be the case, looking to farm that ultimate orb there on the A long side of the map and have presence on A short as well. And so Ye is peeking that, and with the forward dark cover, this is a fantastic way to sort of prevent the Cloud9 team from really running the default as they want. But they're adjusting quickly here, Doug. They're going to go for the garage take immediately.
And there's not anyone there. I mean, they're going to be able to take it for free. There's not even someone playing in window, so they're going to be able to take a good bit of that space away. But what I'm curious of is how much impact is Floppy going to be able to have from long? He's going to be able to smoke things out now as they blast onto the site. Seb patiently waits as one dashes through, and he's able to get 2, not able to get the 3rd as Floppy comes up huge. Takes him down. Numbers advantage in favor of Cloud9. A slight one, but a numbers advantage nonetheless.
There's backside control coming in here for Andbox. Yeah, Mata making their way forwards. Great frag onto Floppy. And with that, there's certainly massive issues here for Cloud9. How do they get the spike onto the site right now? And Poise is going to be sitting right there. And Andbox are more than ready for it. Fantastic retake effort. Cloud9 just couldn't quite get far enough up onto the site. And Seb, I think the credit really belongs to him. His efforts there from Logs were absolutely phenomenal.
And it was after watching Leaf like blast across the screen, right? He let that pass through. Then he was able to take care of some of the reinforcements, that were coming. And while all of that was happening, Dan, the spike wasn't on the site, right? It was still back in C. And I think it was that delay, not moving with that kind of put them in that spot where they couldn't really commit to the site as aggressively as they would like.
So now the question is, are they able to stabilize this one? Cloud9, once again, will be the recipients of this dark cover on A lobby. This is a hugely disruptive opening move, and it's, of course, it doesn't really cost you anything to do this. So I really love it when we see aggressive use of dark cover like this. And if it's the case that Cloud9 want to go back towards A at some point, they'll have to use utility to respect that and to clear it. It takes time, and that's a fantastic thing for Andbox, because they can throw that smoke, and now that's always going to be a question of just the extra time that's added onto the Cloud9 default. And you can see they're finally coming back to A lobby. They have to clear this, because if Andbox had players up here, they would know too much.
You mentioned it. They have to use utility to clear that out. So you saw a shock dart, you saw a recon dart, you saw a little bit of everything thrown in there to try to clear those angles out. There's still a bit left to get them onto A, and that's exactly what they've done. Leaf manages to get onto the back of the site. There's nobody home, as it looks like Andbox are just going to straight up play for the retake. So now Mata, keep an eye on Mata here, Dan. He does have the run it back. He's going to use that wall as well. Follow up with the drone curveball. Not opting to use the ult yet, as the spike continues to tick away.
Come on, let's go.
That was such an awesome wall. And there goes the drop from Mata using the running back, and it's going to be Seb who swings off of that, able to take down one, but is still looking labored to get forward position onto that spike. In comes Boy from the back from short, doing all the damage, and that's enough disruption, but out comes the rocket from Leaf, able to take down one, but it's an effort in vain. But actually, maybe I'm wrong, because the time on the spike is not too much left here for Vice to be able to get the Steve Fuse. It's going to be a close one, but just about able to manage to make it work. Fantastic retake by the skin of their teeth. Andbox able to fight back against Cloud9. What a critical round to win.
My gosh. And look, like, they threw everything in the kitchen sink into that retake, and Cloud9 responded with a good bit of their own, right? Leaf used the showstopper. They tried getting onto things, and Andbox played that so well. They invested utility well, and they're able to carry some ultimates into this round as well.
So the question for me now is, what are we going to see out of Cloud9? Not a great buy. Looking to focus their efforts. Of course, they have to mitigate the fact that they have worse weaponry by just using the numbers and just grouping up. And that's a fantastic elevation there from Boy. This really hard to... That completely breaks your crosshair placement if you're poised. No way to win that fight. And falling back off of that. Yay out there. My goodness. Yay with the knives. He wants some action, but perhaps there's a little bit too much. And now it's a 4 versus 4.
I know exactly.
Yeah, may have hit off a bit more than he bargained for. Remember, folks, Cloud9 walked into this with pistols. So for them to find themselves at this position already is impressive in and of itself. They've stopped their attention towards B, and now it looks like they want to turn towards A. Mitch, the one exception, is he's trying to cause shenanigans on the other side of the map in Garage, and I think that's actually where the call's going to be coming from, right? Mitch gets all the way back into defender spawn. He's going to get a chance onto Seb here in a moment. No, Seb wins that duel. That neural theft is going to be used, and now Cloud9, the options that they had a moment ago are much slimmer, and they don't have a ton of time, Dan.
Yeah, this is going to be so tough. Leaf able to make his way through, but he will be a sacrifice to gain forward position, but it's not going to really account for too much here for Cloud9. But yeah, you have to just really credit and respect the fact that Cloud9 has the ability to understand in the moment, if we just go for that heavy pressure towards A, given where Mitch is, he's going to be able to creep up into 4. We're going to create a hole in the map for him to lurk. Now, as you say, if he was able to get that kill on Seb, they probably win the round, crazy as it sounds. So, great stuff from them, even though it didn't work out.
Now they're going to have rifles into this round. Zeta, Floppy, both 1 point away. 1 point away from getting their ultimates online. We're going to take a very quick break to adjust a couple of things on the back end, make sure the audio is squared up so that both the game and Dan and I can continue to whisper sweet nothings into your ears for the next couple of hours. But Dan, with what we've seen in mind, you take a look at Andbox and what they've shown us so far. They're up 1 round, while Cloud9 started off hot. It's been an excellent response from Andbox.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see the back and forth, and it's so critical too that Andbox were able to just stop the flow, I would say, for Cloud9, because they were off to a great, 2 rounds start. Then we had that situation whereby the response from Andbox was to send forward that dark cover in a lobby, and this really limits the options for the team on the attack, because part of the reason why this map is really hard on the defense is because, of course, you have to worry about 3 sites. The B site is you can definitely leave that open because it is easier to retake and to deal with, and harder to play those post plants. So it's not an ideal finish for the attackers, but at the same time, it is obviously somewhat of a threat, an additional threat you don't have to worry about on the other conventional maps in that sense. But back to the point at hand, you have this element that if the attackers are able to pressure, around C, around mid, and around A lobby at all at the same time, your rotations are pretty long as the defenders, and you've no idea what's going on. So to be able to throw that dark cover, it then allows you to do a lot with very little, because you could, push behind that with 1 player. That player can get pretty close, get that information away from the opposing team, and that team also then has to respect that. They have to then be like, okay, well, we can't know if you know exactly what we're doing because you have that key piece of info on the extremity, so we have to at some point go back and clear that. So that slows down the round for the attackers, makes things a bit more predictable for the defenders, gives them more information, and allows them to stack more players towards mid and C if necessary, because they have a greater warning system towards that A side of the map. So there's just so much, that just that one small piece of utility can really mean a lot against a team that's defaulting. So usually the adjustment to something like that could actually be to kind of call the bluff and to actually just play past it and forward. And then what happens then is a big rotation for the defenders, and then Cloud9 gets to reset the situation again. So that's one of the ways you can diffuse that play. But yeah, it's just interesting to see what is that kind of key adjustment at the beginning that helps to kind of win that information battle, because that's something that's always happening between these pro teams. Is we don't want to allow our opponents to ever have more info than us, and at the very least we need to know what's happening. And so the attacker's job is to prevent the defenders from knowing what's going on at any given moment. So it's good to see that Andbox are doing so much on the defense with that.
They are, and you mentioned the dark cover and how that really kind of opens up the map in a lot of ways for the defending side. I think one of the things that I want to keep an eye on from the attack is, will we start to see the Cypher cage go over into A long that really kind of, in a lot of ways, serves as a dark cover in and of itself, in that you're kind of guessing, right? Like, you have no visibility, which is why oftentimes you'll see defending teams dart from A long in order to get some info into what's happening in the lobby, which looks like, given where Cloud9 is posted up right now, would be an excellent way to start the round. Operator in the hand of Ye as well. He's going to take a peek down C long. No one's going to be home. There's a dark cover that you mentioned, and with the hot hand to delay things. But you mentioned it, Dan, like, one of the options is you call the bluff, right? You push right into it. That's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, and even this time we saw the hot hands to kind of slow things down. It's partly because they want to farm that orb. Mado wants to get on top of those orbs, get the run it backs farmed up, and indeed, the drone comes through. The beambot was used towards A as well. So heavy presence so far. So Cloud9 don't have to go off of this into A, but they've caused certainly so much presence that they've drawn 3 players. And they can certainly predict this because it's been such a slow roll towards this A site that they should know about this rotation. So now what they can do in the mid round is that they can try to abuse this. And previously we saw, Mitch is one of those, he's a lurker on the other side of the map, on the side of the map where there'll be holes now. So we'll have to see what Mitch can do, and also whether or not Cloud9 decide to bring the spike back. And they're beginning to do this. And now Cloud9, or rather Andbox, have to be like, okay, we've got to make an info play. We have no idea what's going on.
Right. Well, they do have a good bit of info of what's happening down C long. Ye at the beginning of the round was posted up there, pushed all the way up C long, and now they've got info on where the hit's going to be. And again, with such little time left, by process of elimination, they don't have time to really go anywhere else. Number 3 is going to be used. Ye's op sings, takes care of Floppy early on, as Cloud9 try to get onto the site. They're all there, they're punched up, but what can Andbox do to hold them back? It doesn't look like they're able to do very much at all as they fall apart. Vice trying to tag up on the other side of the box, not able to do it. Mata drops as well. Vice is left alone. The setup looked great. They had the info they wanted initially, Dan, but once it got onto the site, once the chaos ensued, they fell apart.
Yeah, fantastic commitment there from Cloud9 boys, doing a really good job of just hammering into that C site. And again, you know, there's so much to be said for when you play these drawn-out defaults. What you do is you force the defenders to use utility early on. You force them to kind of mix up their spots early on. You create a spot where your lurker, in this case, Mitch, can get somewhat of a forward position. So as opposed to just running a C split immediately, and having all this utility to play against and so on, you've drained a lot of these options for the defenders. So Cloud9 really finishing that round really well, and they're looking to set up for what could be a really explosive C long play. And look at what we have here. It's also a play coming in from the likes of Andbox. There goes the dash. The whiff, though, unfortunate. We'll have to see how Cloud9 react. Are they going to keep going? Looks like they will, though.
Undersphere coming online from Zeta. Fisker on the side. It's actually Leaf who's able to get the first, and Zeta follows up shortly thereafter as Poise continues to push deeper and deeper into the belly of the beast to try to get control of C for Cloud9. Meanwhile, Mata just on the inside of the cage. He spotted him, but Mitch was able to get away with his life. But that's enough info, Dan, to understand where that pressure's coming in from. When you're outnumbered like this, it makes it so much harder, and now they know the jig's up, right? We saw Mata. We know where he is. We know he's last. They're able to play this so much more comfortably.
Yeah, this was a fantastic call from Cloud9. Yeah, let's look at, why is that the case? We had them conditioning Andbox suddenly saying, okay, we're going to start. We don't care about your dark cover in A lobby. We're going to start challenging that. We're going to start. We just had such a successful round off of a slow default with that opening around A. And so either, Andbox are in a situation where they decide to either double down on A and keep doing the same thing, expecting that Cloud9 will go towards that A lobby, or they just play passively there. It was the case that they were actually, still thinking that there was this A lobby play coming through, and what instead then happens is Cloud9 says, we think you guys are going to stack more towards A, so we're going to go for a super fast pace towards C, where you're going to have very little help because you think we're going to go towards A at that timing. So really great calling so far from Cloud9. That's going to give them the 4-3 advantage, as once again we're back to an A lobby play.
An A lobby play where Andbox is not going to have nearly as much to work with as far as weaponry goes. Just pistols across the board. You see, while Andbox was able to take the lead, Cloud9 roar right back to take back what they would argue was rightfully theirs. They've got heavy weaponry. They're just, really full sending at this point. And why the heck not? Leaf going in first with the showstopper, not going to connect. He's actually not able to connect with the rifle as well, but that's because his teammates were able to clean everything up around him, looking for more of an aggressive position, not able to land the jump. But at this point, Dan, the site's theirs.
Spike planted.
Absolutely, and there's really not all that much you can do on these pistols. And again, this is another great call from Cloud9, and the reason why is because the previous eco, what happened was Cloud9 played a bit slower. They pressured heavily towards one side of the map to pull all the rotation, and then they went back to the opposite side of the map where the site was pretty empty. Now this time, they show lots of presence, making it look like A, and hey, you know what? It is actually A, and they get onto the site super fast, and Andbox didn't rotate everybody super fast because they were worried that there would be a double back. So again, Cloud9 really in the heads of their opponent right now.
Once again, highlighting how the attacking team really can kind of tug and pull the defending team around just by a little eye candy, right? Tease them a little bit, make them think twice about something, and then hit them where they aren't expecting. And now we're going to see an entirely different look from Cloud9, right? We've seen the dance around a lobby. Yeah. Now they're investing a little bit. They're playing slowly, but they're showing presence towards mid-garage.
Oh, and Floppy's ready to punish this.
Andbox does it again, but Floppy, as you said, is in a great spot. Takes care of Mata initially and then backs up. Yeah, Ye's made it through. He's good for one.
Down, attacker
he has a decent idea of where Floppy is as well. There's Floppy, lands the shots. The Vandal's good to give him the kill.
Here goes Seb trying to make the contact towards Garish. It's traded out there, 2 versus 3, however, for Cloud9. Definitely against it at this point. Ye's got that flank shut down. He's got the spike under his control. Horrible situation for Cloud9. It's going to be very hard to fight their way out of this one. However, with that said, Zeta able to take down Ye, so he can potentially recover the claim of that spike, but there's been so much time. The reinforcements is already arrived. It's a wild swing coming through that will not work whatsoever for Cloud9. And in fact, Andbox, with that push up a lobby, find a lot of success. And I think a lot of it, Doug, is the fact that there are a couple 1v1s that were forced, and in a spot where Cloud9 didn't want to take the 1v1s, but they had no choice. So that timing worked out wonderfully.
And like Dan, you saw them, but both of these teams, you've seen how they're willing and they understand the importance of fighting around this A lobby control. Floppy was there. Right? Floppy knew that it was coming because Andbox had shown it before. They walked right into his crosshair, but he just wasn't able to get both.
Standing ahead.
Nice coming out for Ye, and he's looking for that action around short. There goes the boombot though, so that does prevent him from going forward for the peak. Spike is down there though, and there goes the drone as well. 3 players on A in defense here for Andbox. Yay! The nice. Able to take down one, and there could be more, but just slightly a pixel off, and Zeta will punish. And that's a 4v4, Doug. So this is a great spot for Cloud9. They can reset off of this. They're looking for the garage control, converting through the doors, and now it's the 3v3. Still advantage Cloud9.
And now they really, because they've shown A and because they showed garage, again, Andbox are in the spot where they're like, well, shoot, guys, like, we don't know where they're going. Right, and because of that, Cloud9, they're playing this so well. They cut noise, really make them guess, think about what's going on, and then draw out that utility. See, Vice has to use his drone to make sure that they know where they are, but that's going to give them all the info. Boy is close enough to where he's not going to have to use this from the shadows.
There they are.
To join the party. 40 seconds left on the round. Mata's good for the swing. He's got one. He had the ult. He drops. Vice looking to make a little magic happen as well as Mitch is going to use the neural theft. Good for one. Down to the 1v1. He doesn't have the health advantage, and boy comes up big for Andbox to tie him up at 5.
Oh, these rounds are really close. So many close rounds between these two teams. We kind of called it. You know, both of these teams we're sort of thinking to ourselves, okay, which team is actually going to win this series? I don't care about the statistics. Both these teams have been going through so many roster changes. Both teams looking like they're coming into form right now. Arguably honeymoon periods as well. Who really knows? But we know what we do know is that both teams are looking great. And so far, it's been such a close matchup. The rounds that have been won has so often been very close. Despite the fact that Cloud9 have been making great calls on the attack, Andbox have been making great adaptations. And into this next one, we'll see what looks like more of an investment towards mid and what should be garage control.
Deploying drone.
Oh. So this is a slightly similar to look to what we saw, but this time the spike was leaning towards A initially, where both Floppy and Mitch were to ensure there's no pressure coming in. The Hunter Shooter coming out from Vice to clear out the middle of the map, or excuse me, garage. As Mod is going to use his ult of his own, he's not able to land anything.
Some information though for Matters as to what's going on, and so it's an interesting situation if you're Cloud9. You've been stalled out a little bit too long here. You don't necessarily want to commit when the rotation's in. So they've got a minute to go, and they might be thinking of either just delaying and then executing on C, or they pull out of these positions. But they can't be sure if mid is being pushed. They have the tripwire ready for A, so they know that A hasn't been pushed, so they do have the option to walk back. But it looks like, given the fact that they're holding, they're going to go for a recommit into the C site for a garage split. And you can see that the defenders on the minimap are kind of moving slightly away from that C split potential, but they are giving up the A side. So still a great response time coming through on the defense.
Good paranoia, and you saw Boy use this from the shadows to get back behind C-Long, got all the info that he needed. It's actually Ye who's going to show up a bit late, and by the time he gets here, it might be over, as Cloud9 just mows Andbox down. Yeah, and Ye doesn't really have a choice here. He has an op, he just kind of has to save it.
Yeah, for sure. That was pretty brutal. Lovely stuff on the entries from Cloud9, and it was a difficult spot because we never had that A lobby push. I actually think that maybe the round could have looked slightly different had we had Andbox actually getting rid of that tripwire on A lobby. That is, I think, something new. I don't know that we've been seeing the trips there consistently, because typically we've seen those slower defaults where A lobby control will go towards Cloud9, then they'll fall back out and so on. But this time around, that one tripwire gave them the confidence to know precisely what had happened. That either Andbox is playing, players on A, or they're playing at least in a way where they're not sure what's going on. And that's a couple kills from Ye. Oh my gosh! All right. He's gonna keep that operator alive, and hey, maybe that's the diff for the last round. We'll see.
30 seconds left.
And like, so Dan, we mentioned it while it happened, right? Boy using the From the Shadows to get back onto C-Long. He saw everything, right? They knew where the hit was going to be. But even with that in mind, it felt like Andbox was just hair late on pulling the trigger on the rotate.
Yeah, we'll see if there's a recovery to be made to tie things up going into the end of the first half here. Again, you know, Gabe on the jet kept that operator alive. That's a huge deal. He's actually peeking aggressively down mid. Oh, he sees a hat, but unable to find the shot that he's looking for. And boy, having to dodge the Hunter's Fury, but not for too much longer. Leak will put him out of his misery, and Cloud9 once again storming into the C site, and there is nothing to stop him as they mow everybody down again. And, well, the operator not really coming into play here, unfortunately, for Andbox. Nothing working out for them. 7-5 at the end of the first half. Great stuff from Cloud9.
Yeah, and again, on the attacking side, you expect them to walk away with a bit of a lead, and you really felt the gun difference in that round there, right? Both Boy and Seb had Spectres going into that round, and there were a couple of rifles on the side of Andbox, but other than that, when you see Cloud9 storm onto a site like that with reckless abandon, knowing that they had the weapon advantage, it just looks easy, right? Like, it almost looks effortless in how they're able to take that poise, just holding W and really picking people apart left and right. So for Andbox now they find themselves on the attack, right? And we've talked about how this side should technically be favored. A 7-5 half while you're going into the attacking side, that's not terrible, Dan. Early presence from Cloud9 across the middle of the map as they send Poise and Leaf. While Andbox are looking to get onto A. So far, so good as Floppy drops.
Great opening coming through there. Oh, Cloud9 able to defend. And that's a spike down on the ground. We'll see Poise trying to recover the situation. Does have some teammates to help him out as well. It's looking like everything will be back in order here for Cloud9. However, Boy is still alive and kicking. He's got that ghost in hand. However, he needs that first opening. If he can find a way to just make it into a 1v2, might be a world where he can find some extra value in these following engagements. But it's that first one that's so difficult here. Oh, Leave with the reload. That might be the chance gone. Now Boy's element, or rather surprise advantage, is gone. No more advantages to be had.
Oh, he's good for one. But that's really all he's good for. You're right, Dan. Like, the best thing he had going for him there was the fact that they had no idea where he was. If he's able to isolate the gunfights down to a 1v1, maybe, right? Like, maybe you get out of there, robbing that round away from the opposition. But it was a really impressive hold from Cloud9. And again, it looked really good out of Andbox, right? They get onto the back of the site, they get the opening pick, and then Leaf happened.
It's beautiful. And not so beautiful for Andbox, of course, who are off to not the start that they were looking for. Cloud9. We're going to get the pineapple thrown straight through to A lobby. The paint shells will cover the pickup of that ultimate orb. But yay, with that peel off of Floppy with that Sheriff, that's not a good look here for Cloud9. You never want to lose a player that early when you're playing against the Eco. Definitely dangerous. 3 players on A. The entire map here, actually, on the defense is pretty open, so they have to get information. They'll do so with the drone.
Drone and Poise following shortly behind him. Spotted one. That's big. That should help Cloud9 considerably. As Ye drops, and as you mentioned, with the map being open, they can really go wherever they want. They turn their attention towards C. The paranoia is going to be the tip of the spear as they funnel onto the site. Nice and a great spot to place spoiler, but no, he's going to drop as well, not able to land the shots. As Andbox get the spike down on C.
In comes the retake. Oh, Mana from the back. It's got that Sheriff, and they didn't see it coming. 2 dropped on the ground, but still, that weapon advantage is too great. Cloud9 come away. I mean, they certainly didn't come away cleanly, but they at least come away with the W, and that's important. The spike went down, 3 kills were made. Andbox has set themselves up nicely going into this first buy round. And that's my camera that just fell on the ground. 1 second.
It was an excellent response, right? And even as you mentioned, like, Andbox almost played spoiler twice. Ice was in a great spot. Mata was in a great spot. Cloud9, they didn't get burned the first time. I mean, not badly burned, but they got burned the second time. It was certainly closer than they would have liked. But as you've mentioned, Cloud9 are now going to be able to ride a bit of bonus, right? They've got And they've got something to work with here. Leaf's going to have the judge, and he's 1 point away from having a showstopper online, while Andbox are going to have rifles across the board. So they've taken a very aggressive, very intentional bit of space down Garage, and because of that, they're really able to mosey onto C for free. Meanwhile, you see Sebs on A on the other side of the map. He knows that there's nobody over there. He's actually going to be able to get back into the defender spawn, and he can really blow this up if left unchecked. While the fight ensues on the side, Paranoid is going to come out. Leaf looking for a little bit. No, he's not able to get anything. Andbox able to stand strong. They pick 3 of the members of Cloud9 apart.
One enemy remaining.
And now, just Mitch. Mitch in a 1v3. He gets picked apart as well. An excellent response from Andbox.
Yeah, so important to just get on the board straight away. You know, we already saw, we mentioned that they set themselves up nicely. If they are able to get that victory, the economy is crushed with the 3 kills they'd made previously. You know, that forced Cloud9 to have to spend way more money than they wanted to. And now they're in a spot where, you know, they're looking to half buy as opposed to having a full buy here. You know, it was beautiful work from Andbox. And now, you know, I mentioned it, you know, they're a great team in terms of the tactics, in terms of, you know, controlling their opponents on the attack. This is an attacker side map. Of course, they have to keep it going, and we'll see what they're able to do this. We get the knives coming out from Ye, and that allows them to save, so we should see an operator on him possibly in the following round, but what is the play here? That dark cover. When you see that dark cover, you are thinking, they must be pushing up behind it, but instead, Doug, we have 3 players towards Garage. It's a trap.
So the question that remains is EA going to have the balls, quite frankly, to check it and swing out? No, they have to play cautiously. And look, Vice has to use his drone to clear that out because, as you said, they're guessing. They have no idea. Meanwhile, Cloud9 once again dialing up pressure across the middle of the map on lighter weaponry. We see them dial this up a lot in Andbox, even with the shenanigans of the dark cover and the pressure across the middle of the map. They seem to be able to hold it off just fine.
Ooh, alrighty. So yeah, it's looking pretty good for Andbox now. So they've done what they needed to do to kind of get back some of those early rounds. They're looking pretty confident, and you know, they got to deal with another buy to force out another eco for Cloud9. So far it's looking good. And the other dimension that is new is that we see the operator in the hands of Ye. So the question is, you know, where does Ye want to try to get the opening there? It's looking like C long to begin with, but there is a tripwire there, which does tell us that despite early presence towards C long, we're likely going to see Andbox then go back towards the A side of the map. So we'll have to see how it pans out. Zeta with a shock dart. Not going to connect to anybody. And look how strong this presence is on C. And the drone goes out Garage as well.
So he uses to run it back, and he's able to provide value for it already. It wasn't just information. He takes care of Zeta. He clears out Garage and the middle of the map, so now they know what's safe. But the question is, will they dial up more pressure towards C? They have 2 members squatting on the site now, Dan. It's open. It's wide open.
Yeah, this is so tough. So tough for Cloud9. That's a big win, though, taking down Vice in window and mid. That at least allows a retake scenario where you don't have to worry about that flank. But speaking of which, From the Shadows comes through, and they may not realize that was cancelled, so they may be worrying about the flank possibly. That was part of the reason to do that maneuver. But here is Ye connecting every shot with the operator, making it look so damn easy. And Mitch is all he could do to maybe squeeze out another kill, but not even that's going to go his way as Seb shuts him down. And Andbox coming back into this one with fire.
I mean, even that kill across the middle of the site and B window, Dan, you get that kill and you open up your retake possibility so much more, right? Because then you can expose working through Garage. Then you can push in from that area of the map as well, not just defender spawn, but even with that kill in mind, Ye's just able to, what was it, 3 with the op into the defender spawn. There was nowhere really for them to get easy access onto the site.
And that early presence C-Long once again. This time looking to maybe even go even harder than before. This looks like a more just straight up C hit. They haven't really got too much towards A. They've got their lurk towards grass in Seb on the Cypher. And they walk into a free site. Lovely. That's what you want to see. It was a gamble from Cloud9's defense. They're going to have to play retake now. And it's certainly going to be a tough one. Or they could just try to play for exits. One of the two.
And remember, Ye's operator is still online. We saw just how good he can be with it in the previous round, and it's not Ye this time, it's Vice, who's able to get a couple. Ye joins in on the action as well, and the pistols seem to be working. But Vice, unreal.
Yep, certainly looking like they have a fast pace to them. And it's going to be interesting now to see again, like what Cloud9 try to do against this, because when a team starts playing really fast, you can try to gamble by playing kind of defensively, but what tends to be better is taking control as the defenders, trying to win something early in the round. And we're going to see a heavy commit towards the A side of the map. That's exactly what Cloud9 are going to be doing, and they've chosen A. But the question is, how much are Andbox going to throw into this side? We see right now, they may be just playing their luck. We'll have to see.
No operator in the hands of Cloud9. But what they do have is presence. As you see, they've already sent boys really all the way up. Floppy's doing it as well. So they've taken... I mean, A is not an option right now for Andbox.
Certainly is not. And you got to ask the question too, with Andbox, you know, they're looking to maybe catch anybody rotating back, because maybe they're feeling a commitment towards that A site with that dark cover. The drone goes through, so this is a great mid-round information finding from Andbox. This is going to help them to know what call to make. So the drone doesn't really see much, it's dealt with, so they're just going to go straight into B. This is a beautiful call.
Zeta's in a good spot. So Zeta's got the Hunter series in a good spot. You see him like lining up for it. And there it is. Zeta's using that Hunter Fury to try to clear out the middle of the site, and it's going to push the remaining members out of B and into the links, and hopefully into the warm, welcoming arms of the remaining members of Cloud9. Poise able to take care of Vice, who is causing fits in B window. And now the remaining members of Andbox, they're just trapped on the site, right? Now the spike is going to go down after being delayed as long as it was. You see the remaining members of Cloud9 slowly creep their way forward, slowly tighten their grasp on the site. Poise, good for Mata already. Ye looking to dance around the bullets, around the utility that was coming his way, not able to do it. Mitch gets two big ones, and Boy's left alone in a 1v2. He's got a good shot on him. He lights up for him. He's good for one, but Zeta trades it back, and he gets the defuse. Cloud9 take the lead.
Oh, I was feeling it, Doug. I was feeling it for Boy there, but unfortunately for him, doesn't pan out. And, you know, that's the first round in a while for Cloud9. And we talked about previously, we said, okay, there are 3 sides, but that B side, although it's an option, there are downsides to it. There are trade-offs to having that extra side. It's hard to play the post plant. It's the easiest site to retake, ultimately. And we can see a great effort on this retake. Wonderful teamwork, great spacing and coordination in from Cloud9. And what an important round to win. It already started to feel like Andbox are running away with the momentum, but in fact, we have Leaf on the operator now as well. Really looking forward to seeing how that comes into play, and it looks like he's going to be up on the C site, or that elevated position, looking over the dark cover possibly.
So you see Ye has an op, and he uses Blade Storm at the beginning of the round. Ensured that there was no presence coming in from A long. So oftentimes you'll see a Jet use the Blade Storm and then dash all the way up to try to see if there's anyone pushing in from A long. Because of the pressure that Cloud9 have shown, as we saw Vice in the previous round, read that like a book. This time there's nobody home though.
Yeah, lovely gamble actually. I like it from Cloud9. Taking some risks, having way more players towards C and B, leaving A very open, just up to Floppy to defend this one. And a few sound cues will cause a huge rotation because there's not really all that information for Cloud9. And this is beautiful because right now we can see that Andbox are walking back towards the C side of the map after causing a 3-man stack towards A. Now Cloud9 have to get some info here. And some of the info is actually in this forward position from Mitch. We'll have to see what he's able to see or find, but they have no vision on C long. There's just a tripwire there. That's all they have.
Just getting impatient. Oh, and Mitch wins the fight anyway. Can you imagine he's going to use the neural theft? There it is. You mentioned that Cloud9 needs information. They've dialed it up. They've got everything they need. With that, Andbox is still going to continue to try to get on the site. They're on there. They haven't tried to stick the spike down yet. 13 seconds left. Ye's Blade Storm causing problems. Looking to get the spike down as well. Zeta lurking around the corner. He's in a good spot for him. Yeah, Zeta's good for one. Zeta looking for more. He's going to get cleaned up at the hands of Mata, and Floppy's left alone.
That was almost so good for Cloud9. If Zeta's able to get that backside control, hold on for Floppy to rotate in, they probably could have cobbled together some kind of a retake that would look decent. But unfortunately, for them, Andbox were able to hold things down. It was pretty damn close. And the information, as you said, that timing from that swing out of garage from Mitch, once you see that it's Seb on that position at that time of the round, you know it's the lurk, and you know precisely what's happening. So they know at that point that they see him that it's going to be a C-long, send it, as it were, and it was. So Andbox tying things up. This is neck and neck, Doug, all the way in the first half now, and also the second. And Floppy's going to save that operator. And it has been difficult at the early points of the round to really get any love with the operator. The angles have been mostly shut down by utility. So unless there's a very aggressive play to be made with this operator, and they don't have a jet, then we may not really see any opening frags from it, at least for Cloud9's sake.
Now, so Cloud9's they're in a bit of a mixed spot, which is certainly not where you want to be when you're this late in the map. And it doesn't look like they're going to be dialing up anything aggressive either. Floppy's got the op, checking down C-Long. He's not even going to get a chance to know if someone's coming or not because of the utility that's already been used. And for Andbox, for as much versatility as they've shown us on their calling, this is a bit of a different flavor as well, where they're just waiting to see if Cloud9's going to be the one to push aggressive.
That's the big chance. Unfortunately, not happening for Floppy. Dark cover is going to be sent forward, and you don't know if they're going to be walking behind that or not, and then looking to contact out. That's always a scary reality, and so to try to figure that out, the drone goes out garage. Because if that was going to be the case, you'd probably get at least one player in grass. But they don't see anything grass.
And I really like this from Vice. So he's using the Hunter's Fury to draw a little bit of attention, but actually Cloud9 have again taken the middle of the map. So now they've actually funneled off Vice. Vice is on an island. He's by himself. And if they sniff out where he is, they're obviously going to pick him to shreds. But if he's left unchecked, he's going to blow up this retake by himself. Andbox is already on A.
Yeah, this is very scary. It's not really the ultimate for Cloud9 to effectively retake this as well. It's going to be very hard to get back in, but Poi is able to take down Seb. And I don't know if that gun's recoverable. Working with the Frenzy, the weaponry advantage certainly serving Andbox, certainly serving Yay with that operator, able to knock them all down. And now it just leaves Zeta coming through from spawn with a shock dart. And that's a wrap for him. And 11 to 10, Andbox will take the lead, but what a sliver of a lead it is.
And for Cloud9, I love that we're seeing, like, and we've seen this from them a few times, right? Understanding that they don't have ideal weaponry. They can't fight toe-to-toe, right? Like, they can't trade blows in a comfortable way. They dial up that mid-aggression that has served them well in the past, right? Like, they've caught Andbox slipping a couple of times, but in that moment, it just doesn't pan out. And again, it was Vice who eventually didn't have to do very much, but he was in a great spot.
There goes the dark cover C window. Fast movement. The run it back gets popped there for Mata to get those entries towards that C side. Catches Floppy in the back. Oh no, it's all falling apart for Cloud9 right here. Andbox's pace is just too much to deal with. Leaf maybe with the rocket can find something, but it's sent through the dark cover, and that's not happening. Oh no! Poison Leaf out of nowhere, Doug. I don't even understand, but it's happening for Cloud9. Some way they made it work.
What? So, okay. All right, where do we start? Andbox shows heavy towards C, right? You mentioned it at the beginning of the round. They full sent, but Boy uses the front of the shadows to get back into their spawn, right? He's able to get one of the kills on there, but then Boy swings out and just blows everything up. Cloud9's response to all of the pressure that was thrown their way was beautiful, Dan.
That was crazy. That was crazy. That was like a rocky moment there for Cloud9. Just getting beat in the face by Ivan Drago, and then all of a sudden, the tables turn.
You hit the montage, right? Like the inspirational music, the training, and then they're able to punch right back. Oh man, this round is going very comfortably in favor of Cloud9, at least early on. 2 members of Andbox have already dropped. Now Andbox.
Oh.
Yeah, he's
unlucky
trapped,
for Boy there.
Yep.
You're probably afraid.
looking real good now for Cloud9. Comfort was the word you used, and it's certainly looking great. They got the slippers on, smoking jackets are on by the fire, and that's 12-11. With that said, the 12-11 scoreline is not that comfortable, so perhaps the slippers have to come off because this is the time to close right now. Andbox are looking really dangerous. They do have the money to get a good buy-in. We'll see a Spectre coming out on Boy. And in terms of the ult economy, it's actually not looking great for either team right now. You might... Yeah, there's not really all that much in terms of initiation coming from the ults and post-plants. So at least there's even footing for Andbox in that sense.
The one difference there Seb has is neural theft, so you wonder if they play something a little slow. Again, lean on the fact that the attacking side can kind of dictate the pace and maybe... Oh no, they've pushed right into him. Floppy's just on the other side of the cage. Floppy wins the gun duel. Seb was the one who went in aggressively. He drops, and it looks like Cloud9's able to continue to stick it to him, right? The aggression that they showed towards A pays off, and now Andbox has no choice but to flip the map.
Yes, it's going to be so difficult right now. Zeta able to take down Marta through the cage. They've got that backside control, the ever-important backside control, and they got numbers. It's up to Vice against 3 to try to make this one work, but it really seems like a nightmare, and indeed.
On Haven, 25-12 on the Reyna, opting to go with the Reyna here as well, so Cloud9 is going to have double duelists, while Andbox, in theory, isn't going to have the same punch.
Absolutely, and we're going to see how that works out pretty quickly here. Andbox on the attack to begin with. And you'd expect that they would be able to win more map control with the lineup that they have, but that's a great start for Vice on the Viper. Takes down Floppy, that aggressive maneuver. That's not great to be up against that. Leaf now has a lot to do by himself, and given the fact that now the paint shells are gone, there's nothing stopping them for closing that distance and taking him down, and there he goes. And all the side control, it feels like it might be lost here, but still somehow Mitch is holding on to backside control. That allows Zeta to come out of spawn, and they got a couple angles to play with. Cloud9 not done just yet. In fact, taking the advantage in this one.
Vice alone here. The snakebite's not going to bite nearly hard enough. Zeta's going to get the defuse, and Cloud9 is going to win the round. And really, it was Zeta, right? It was Zeta's flashes coming in from defender spawn that really opened things up. You mentioned how Leaf didn't have the paint shells, and at that point, there's really nothing to stop them, right? Like, they can just waltz their way right through that without really any concern for what Leaf can do to them. But it was the utility just in the nick of time from the sky that opened things up, that gave Zeta room to work, and the rest of Cloud9 be able to get in there just fine. And the other thing I want to draw attention to is oftentimes when you see a Viper, a lot of the round is dictated, is really played around that utility. So in the previous round, Vice puts up the wall in the same spot, and Cloud9 just pushed right through it, right? And you saw Floppy get punished, but we've already seen Cloud9 showing willingness to kind of call the bluff and say, yeah, man, like, we're not super worried about this. We can stick it.
Now it's just about chilling because they've got that weaponry advantage. They don't want to be too aggressive and give Andbox a chance to overrun them. So just allowing Andbox to take some position, knowing that they can deal with it with those long ranges. And there's the presence now felt. Flashes sent up towards A-Ramp. That might convince some utility to be used by Cloud9, but rotations coming through sewers now. It's looking tough here, I gotta say, Doug, for Andbox. They don't really seem to have any way in anywhere. No. And B main control's being lost as well, thanks to Floppy.
And Mitch is in a great spot to kind of eliminate the middle of the map as well. As we see, he's already gotten 2. The last one's going to challenge him, and Boy's going to win that duel, upgrade the weapon, but with 11 health left into a 1v4. You imagine this round can be really signed, sealed, and delivered. Floppy cleans him up as Cloud9 take a 2-0 lead. And Dan, it really was eliminating options for Andbox. You couldn't work A. B, they didn't know this, but B certainly wasn't an option because Floppy had already taken all of that garage presence. All that was left was the middle of the map, and Mitch was there with open arms.
Indeed. But now the story's changed a little bit because we have Cloud9 on a somewhat of a bonus. You know, we're seeing Floppy actually with that Judge and full rifles from Andbox. So this is where you might start to understand what the default will look like. We see the fault line coming in from Boy, from Sewers, all the way towards Male to prevent any early peaks. And that's given some control of mid from Andbox to Andbox. And Poise is going to get caught on the aggression there. The paint show's a little bit late, perhaps, as he's very, very far gone from that position now, is Mr. Vice. Now Andbox have won B main control. You can see the desperation for Cloud9 after that initial frag was lost. They're trying to push. They're trying to get advantages back, but instead, the disadvantages compound and become greater.
Spike planted.
Very similar to look to what we saw in the pistol, but this time it doesn't seem like Cloud9's going to be able to take the presence back that they did previously. As they're in a 5v2, make that a 5v1 as Leaf is left alone. And again, we mentioned this round one, right? They're willing to push through the Viper utility and call the bluffs and like full send and go for it. Leaf might be putting some magic together, but Vice, oh Vice playing spoiler takes care of him, but Andbox get on the board.
I mean, that's actually so awesome from Leaf. You know, he's going to be able to secure the showstopper because of the extra kills. A lot of economic damage was done as well. And otherwise, if Leaf doesn't get anything there, that really alleviates a lot of possible pressure. But we see Leaf's able to get 3 kills before dying. That's excellent work from Leaf. And Cloud9 might try to open up with a play, perhaps in mid or something like that. And it looks like it's not going to be the case here as we go into the game. But the showstopper can be used for early aggressive plays. We'll see, though, if it makes an appearance later in the rounds. So we get a trade through B main. And the wall goes up B main as well to slow things down. And Andbox, they got to figure out, okay, we've got a 4v4 advantage, loads of time left. And now onto some mid control. And then they can decide which way to go.
Yeah, but, I mean, Leaf is waiting on the other side. He's got the showstopper. Zeta's pinching in as well. And you also see Floppy just around the corner. Leaf can blow this up. Leaf goes in aggressive. He's good for one. The flash, no, opts to hold it. Boy punishes him. Leaf's finally going to drop, but the spike's going to follow there as well.
This is tough because the spike position is known by Cloud9. That's a great paranoia. That's going to send him back. Viso taking down Poise, but still, spike control is with Floppy. He can still win this round for Cloud9. He's going to reposition away from Male. Cover going up. And is the spike inside ropes? It kind of looks like it's not. It's actually a little bit outside. And they're going to have to go forward to Floppy. Oh, it's not going to work out for them, though.
So Floppy had a great setup, right? Like you mentioned, the spike was on the other side of ropes, but he just wasn't able to handle the aggression as a raise blasted right into his face, and he eventually dropped. That's going to tie us up at 2 apiece. Cloud9's going to be walking in, I mean, limping into this round with a pistol. They've got a couple of sheriffs in a frenzy, but not a ton else. What they do have is ultimates, right? They've got the res. Leaf has a showstopper. Poise has the Empress as well, so they can dial something up. But often the question in a situation like this is, well, is that worth investing, given the fact that you don't have the weapon advantage?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I was also, maybe expecting to see something in that previous round, as I mentioned, with the showstopper, but at the same time, it can be kind of predictable because, we can see, and of course Cloud9 know that Leaf has a showstopper, but so do Andbox. They have that information too. So the way that the attackers will respect the ultimates of the opposing team will often be apparent in how passive they approach the beginning of the round. And right now it's a gamble towards the A side of the map for Cloud9. Again, just as you mentioned, Doug, the weaponry really sucks for Cloud9, so they want to just take a gamble. We want to keep the numbers alive, and we want to just gamble that they're going to go towards A. And if that's the case, we're going to have a round. If it's not the case, well, we can try to play for exit kills. And looks like Andbox guessed correctly. And it's going to be about some exit frags here for Cloud9.
Yeah, you wonder... I mean, maybe if they get a little something cooking early on, they might dial up a bit more, maybe willing to invest a bit more as far as ultimates go. You've really got nothing to lose in a situation like this, and you can even tell with how aggressively they're playing this out. They're willing to play with comfort. Boy's going to use Rolling Thunder, try to delay some of that push early on, but the presence across the middle of the map is just too much, right? Andbox, their gun advantage on full display in that round.
Yeah, and they did a good job to only lose one player there at the end. You see the integrity of their economy is at an all-time high. And it's not really something that we could say so much for Haven. That Haven game was a brutal battle between both teams. No one ever really winning rounds with too many players left alive. We get the operator on Mitch, interestingly. So it'll be fun to see how that pans out for Mitch. And whether we'll get an opening through onto the B main control. That can be... You want to try to win something here. B main's a little bit easier than some other than A main. And you can see Andbox, they've got the Ice Orb there. That's such a strong counter to A main control.
And the flash out of Zeta did not tag. Yeah, as he's pushing his way through. So there's no information gathered there. That's really all there is so far.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Look how slow Cloud9 is playing right now. They know that the showstopper's out. They know that Andbox are, or let's say that Cloud9 are really wanting to get an aggression going. They're looking for a moment to just pounce on their opponents. And Andbox aren't giving it to them. But with that said, there's a minute left. And Andbox are only just now getting a ramp control. And the spike's down towards the B side of the map. So Andbox have to be careful they don't outplay themselves on the clock right now.
You see from Cloud9, they're able to get that kill in the garage, and then they really double down their efforts, and they push in even more aggressively to try to take some of that space away. And for Andbox, really, again, the game is take away options. Mata looking to get aggressive up in heaven. No, he's going to get punched right in the mouth by Floppy. He's going to get dropped. Not without taking Zeta down with him. And now, oh my gosh, Dan, A's open. A's absolutely open. Cloud9's going to have to hightail it to get back onto the site in time, but it's gonna be on Leaf initially. Leaf with the showstopper, buying time. Good for, oh my gosh, he's good for 2. The rest comes up as well. Leaf finally drops. Boy's in a great spot. He picks up the spike and is looking to get it down. He doesn't have an ultimate. Doesn't have teammates. And he doesn't even have full armor or health. This is a brutal spot to be in. An operator staring him down. Zeta on the other side. Oh, Cloud9. Cloud9 tie us up at 3 apiece. This is Haven all over again, right? These two teams are just going to go back and forth.
Yeah, it's just so fun to, like, the realization here. I was, like, looking at the minimap and the rotations, and I'm like, Leaf's going to make it there in time, and he's got a showstopper, and we're seeing such... Like, he held on to it for, like, 2 or 3 rounds. Yeah. Because if we think back, like, Leaf had that available after, like, the first, like, 3 or 4 rounds. So that was a great moment to use it, finally, and... With that, you know, Poise has the Empress, but other than that, it's actually Andbox that have the ults that could be very problematic. They've got the Res available, Viper's Pit, as well as Showstoppers. So 3-3 right now, and it's going to be B main control opening, coming in again. The Ice Orb there, as we have seen many year rounds. And here it is, the Operator, and that's why it's there. That's why it's on Mitch. Oh, but can he survive?
No, Mitch drops.
That's a no.
No, Mata's showstopper cleans him up, and Mata's looking for more as he gets onto Floppy as well. Zeta has shown up, however, for Cloud9. He's not able to do anything as Mata already has 3. He does eventually drop at the hands of the Pain Shells, or Pineapple, as you so affectionately put. But now Leaf looking to creep forward onto the side of 2v2 here, and the spike might just flip onto the map. You've got plenty of time. What I do love is, though, Vice, he's on the flank. He's also got the Viper's Pit. Can you imagine he just wants to play spoiler here? No, Poise winning that 1v1. And now it's all on Boy.
And this is sort of not quite as bad as how the last round looked, but it's similar in the sense that Boy's in this clutch on the A side, playing the post plant. And it's going to be a tough one to win. You can see that both Leaf and Poise are playing together here, and no satchels available. No paint shells or really any utility for them except the Leah, but that might be enough. You see, Boy he wants to clear these close angles, knowing that he'll have enough time to plant still. So might as well try to get clear as deep as possible. This will give Boy a better understanding as to how he can position himself post-plant. Knowing that there's not anyone super close there, he can make a play into screens if he plants close himself. So he might indeed, because he has to go forward here. So making a play into screens now is probably going to be the best choice as he makes his way forward, as he just cleared these positions. And this might be enough of a surprise to get that first frag to play the 1v1s. And with that, there's a chance for Boy as he creeps around the back. The sound cues are there. The gun's going to come out. There's the 1v1. That's so quick from Boy. There's the fault line. Is it going to be a stick from Leaf? He's going to come off of it. And here goes Boy with the swing. But it's Leaf. It's Leaf who makes it work. Great stuff from him and holds it down for the 4-3 scoreline.
Oh, and at the end, it was the numbers advantage, right? Because Boy he played it beautifully, right? You mentioned pushing into screens, working their way around, and he was behind him, right? Like he had the play in front of him. He even used the utility, understanding exactly where the plant was. Unfortunately, didn't have the Rolling Thunder to make a difference there. Now he's going to have it online, but again, it was just a numbers advantage at the end. Cloud9 able to bring a little bit more to the party than Boy could bargain with. And now from Andbox, now we've seen some of this like slow orb paint shells, but it's actually a notably different flavor here, Dan.
Yeah, they're not doing it because they're trying to suggest that they're not actually here and they're going to contact it instead. But the problem is this wall. And so now their presence has been announced. And I mean, at least the Ice Orb was saved, but you can see that Cloud9 have a pretty good understanding of exactly what's going on at this point. And there's the paranoia. That's going to slow them down. And this is a problem now. They might have to abandon this one. It's taken simply far too long to get entry to this site. So they reset the situation, but not all is lost. They forced some utility used, and they also force rotations. And also, Cloud9 have to make some information plays. They have no idea if Andbox is rotating off of this, or if they're going to sit and then re-exec onto B.
Which looks like that's what they're going to do. They have plenty of time, too, where they can post up, cut noise, and then really think through how they want to play this. Also worth noting, a couple of really key ultimates available on the side of Andbox. You've got the Rolling Thunder, and there it is. It's going to clear out onto the side. An excellent flash, though, on the counter. Floppy's there. Floppy's good for 2. Seb trades one out as he's looking for more. He's good for it. The Spectre proving to be exactly what the doctor ordered in that moment for Andbox as Vice gets the spike down.
And there's the Viper's Pit. Oh, Leaf almost had the spray, but he's got a freebie. Boy goes down, and with that, it's a wild spray into the Viper's Pit. But how do they deal with this? They don't have any natural counters. It's just going to have to be the case of just running it in and spraying them down. And that's exactly what's going to happen for Seb and Vice, as they are just staring at nothing but dirt right now. And the round will be won by Cloud9. What a great retake from them.
Everything, man, everything across the board. The fact that Andbox has to use the Viper's Pit there after they get the spike down, but Leaf showed up just in the nick of time to see exactly where it was from, right? Like, he saw it happen, so he was able to play things out. The Rolling Thunder was invested, and the flash from Sky opened that up, right? Like, that's what allowed them that early presence to be able to fight back early onto the Viper's Pit and take the site back. It was just a beautiful display from top to bottom from Cloud9 that's what won them that round.
Yeah, and I really like the approach because I mean, there's so much to it, like break down there, and I just don't have time to do it, sadly. So into the next round we go. And it looks like we'll have a big presence around mid-air. Fight for mid. Flash is sent forward by Zeta, so Cloud9 can get some early control here, and they don't have to hold control, but just taking it away and then receding is good. It's a strong move.
So check out Mitch. Very different look. Walled up, bottom of A, and just left. Right now, he has to step back because the Viper shot the wall out, so they've got to respect where that play is. But now that's keeping Mitch elsewhere on the site while the fight's happening across the middle of the map, and Andbox have the numbers advantage.
So there goes the take of mid, and it's going to be a quick split to ropes. There's no messing around at this point.
Mitch is in trouble.
And it's going to be up to Mitch to try to hold this down. He's got to get enough kills in this situation. He'll take down a Boy, and there's no trade to be had, and Zeta's in there right in the nick of time to take down Marta. And now with that, it's a horrible situation. Although maybe not quite as bad as he's able to at least equalize things on the numbers into a 2v2. And with that lurking position available for Seb, there might be some shenanigans here afoot for Cloud9 to have to deal with.
Yeah, but he's got... So if the play is for Ye to rotate out, he's got to make noise, right? He's got to draw attention this way, but it looks like he wants to go back, so noise has been cut from both of them. And you see Floppy, as you've mentioned, they have to play for information. They have no idea where the spike is. And it's not like Floppy has it from the shadows to quickly show up on one site, so he's going to be late to the party. Which means that the time for the defuse, if the spike goes down, is going to be less than it would be otherwise. Andbox, Cloud9 are going to have to play this very well in order to win this round.
And this is a patience game in many respects for pretty much everybody. You know, Zeta can't really do anything until his teammate gets there, except to get some good positioning. So Zeta's able to clear a lot of spots here. So he knows that everybody's on site. There goes the blind through to elbows. So again, clearing some possibilities. They have to be backside. Zeta wins the 1v1 with the help of Floppy. And now it's just Seb at the back. He can play between the wall and the screen. But Zeta's good. And that's the round going to Cloud9. Again, these clutch retakes. I can't I just can't dunk. They're so good, these guys. So good.
So they paranoia around elbow. The wall is up to block off that side of screens. So there's really only one way. There's one like pinch point, Dan, where everything is gonna go down. And while it looked close for a minute, I mentioned prior to the retake that Cloud9 was gonna have to play that so well because of time, because of everything that was kind of stacked up the way that it was. And again, Cloud9 are playing these rounds beautifully. This recent addition of Floppy, the way the rosters have changed, Cloud9 really looks like they're finding their stride at just the right time.
So we got that B main presence coming through from Andbox. I say presence, they actually didn't make really any noise. There was a full line, but that was about it. So looking to maybe catch somebody off guard. That's a great jump peek from Floppy. Gets the info, allows Cloud9 to respond without losing anything. And although the AWP goes the way of Andbox, Andbox need more than that. They need to get onto a site and need to play a spike plant, but that's going to be so hard because, again, they don't have the weaponry to do it. So need to find ways to at least get damage. That's like the first objective here. Find a way to get a couple kills and then try to build from that. And Vice is asking questions here as well.
Yeah, they do. You mentioned they need to have damage, but they also need information, and right now they don't have any. They weren't able to get any info on B. They have no idea what's happening across mid, and because of the wall from Mitch towards A, they haven't been able to really explore that side of the map either. So right now they're really blindly walking into this without understanding what's happening around them.
There they go. Oh no, Leaf. He's going to actually pop the showstopper. Not trying to give them even a smidge of a chance in this one. And they are dropping like flies. And it's just Boy left with 1 HP. And he's actually going to find a frag with 1 HP with 1 bullet. And there it is. 7-3. Cloud9 looking real good here on the defense. And Andbox are just not having the success that they are perhaps used to on their attack right now.
We'll see what they dial up here. Again, they've got the Showstopper, they've got the Rolling Thunder available, and they're going to have rifles, right? And armor across the board. So you imagine here, given how the last couple of rounds have gone, this is where Andbox really has to dial up something special, something pretty, to really catch Cloud9 off guard, because you can very quickly see this become a 9-3, right? You lose this, you're on a less than ideal buy, and that compounds very quickly. Oh, info.
Yeah, there is a little bit of info there. And also, we got Cloud9 playing on top of the wall on B main. So with that dark cover, they can take over control of B main. And it looks like Cloud9, they've got a pretty good read of what's happening. They're adjusting their positioning. And they're trying to keep things safe. They're giving up a lot of grounds. But at the same time, again, it's really up to Andbox at this point to really force the issue on the sites, because these early fights are not being given. And there's been a lurk left in ropes with Marder, and he has a showstopper. Boy has the Rolling Thunders for the clear of this B site, but they may not expect Floppy to be so deep. There goes the flash. They're looking for him, and he's down.
Wall is no longer an option as well. So Mitch, there's really the only thing in between him and the remaining members of Andbox is the operator in his hand, but Andbox understanding that they're actually just going to flip the map. Mata, there was that lurk that you mentioned. He's dropped. And again, you find yourself in a position like this where the rotator's gone, right? Like the lurk is gone. You've got to really kind of brute force your way into the site, and that's exactly what Vice is able to do. The Rolling Thunder is going to come out. Tags up Poise, but they don't check it! Poise good for 1, Poise good for a second as well. The spike goes down. Seb is left alone in a 1v4. This one absolutely sideways, Dan.
Cloud9 looking so damn good, man. They're playing this so well. They didn't give Andbox anything that they were looking for. You know, they were so... They really wanted to find some value in mid. They really wanted to find some value on those early aggressions, but Cloud9, they forced them to commit so deep before they reveal their own hand, and it's making life tough. And we might see, though, with that said, a fight over mid is possible. Marta still has that showstopper, and he's surely looking to use it. This is the final round, so we can absolutely expect that to be the case.
Just back. All right, there's the showstopper. Mata taking the middle of the map, also taking Poise down. As we see some value come out from that, and Vice is able to get one as well. So they've got something cooking here in the final round of the half, but how do they close it out? How do they get past this to a round win? Mitch, he's got the op in his back pocket, but he really just has to back up from here. Oh man, Zeta gets aggressive as well. EA punishes him. They're going to be able to mosey their way onto A. Remaining members of Cloud9, they're going to show up, but it might be a bit too late. No, Floppy's caught as well. Oh, an excellent response from Andbox.
Yeah, definitely. Getting those early picks really helps destabilize everything, and that showstopper satchel play was certainly seemed to pull the linchpin out for Cloud9's defense, and that's in the last round of the first half here. But Cloud9, you know, very, very strong lead going into the second half, going into their attacking side with the 8-4, and Leaf held onto that showstopper for a while, but it counted. As soon as he pulled it out, it was the perfect moment. Yep. And it's definitely looking good for Cloud9 here, I gotta say, Doug. And Andbox, you know, they need the win on Split. They're down a map if you're just joining us. So Andbox have a hell of a lot of work to do if they're, you know, truly looking to use this series to get their way to the Challengers Finals.
And then you've got to remember too, Dan, like, you know who's waiting on the other side of this? TSM. The TSM that everyone has said is back, right? Like the TSM of old, you could argue, from old lore, has shown back up, and that's who's waiting on the other side of the series. Andbox have to respond. Now we've got them on the defending side, and you presume, given history of this map, given what we just saw Cloud9 do, Andbox should be in a bit of a more advantageous position. But they've got to convert. They've got to deliver.
And I like how Andbox are approaching this right now. You know, they're playing really passive on this A side. They can give up the side if they want and just play for the retake. And if they keep screens control, it's going to look good for that retake effort. But we'll see exactly what Cloud9 are able to do. In fact, Sep's actually going to go into elbow, and they're going to fight for this one. He's got the paranoia, and they're actually closing down. Andbox are closing down position on the site. Oh, what a reaction, though. Into ropes, into the B play instead. That's beautiful. But still, Marta's going to force the issue in defense. And up mail they go, and Leaf gets it done. And that's a clear path now for the plant.
Ye was there. He was the one who was supposed to stop that play from expanding the way that it did, and he just got freaking hit in the jaw with the jumping classic and drops. Now, boys, just on the other side, able to get one. They're going to push in aggressively. They're looking for the last kill. It's Poise who gets it. Cloud9 win the pistol. Certainly not what you wanted to see if you're an Andbox fan.
Yeah, it looks like Andbox had a great approach to begin with, but what's really interesting is I was like, oh, I really like that they're able to like set up the retake. But because they actually decided to preemptively commit into the site and commit onto the site, they created a huge opening in towards ropes and heaven, which is exactly what Cloud9 had the cognizance to exploit. So I don't know. I feel like both teams did a great job with that, but Cloud9 just, you know, they were able to just one up Andbox effectively. So such as it is, we'll have to see if there's any recovery here. Doug, it's, you know, it's never over till it's over, but it's going to be tough.
Early presence out of Andbox into Garage in order to get that ult orb into the pockets of Mata, one step closer to bringing the showstopper online. Meanwhile, Cloud9 feeling some of that pressure, gladly take the middle of the map, dash across his screen. Leaf's able to turn around, hit him with the 180 and the shots to clean him up as well. Zeta does a bit of the same. Cloud9 have control of A.
Yeah, some great movement from Cloud9. Not too much to do really to try to retake this site. I mean, I'll get the paint shells in, but there is someone waiting for him to spawn, and it's Mitch. And that's 10 for Cloud9 with a 6-round advantage as we go into the buy round for both sides. Although, as I say that, of course, you know, get that bonus, that carryover for Cloud9, having all that success. The Spectres will come through. Might see one upgrade, perhaps. You can drop a gun to Floppy, but actually Floppy's going to purchase a Spectre himself. So, with that said, one would expect that they would have a play behind this to take early action with these suboptimal weapons, but it looks like they're playing standard.
Well, and the thing is, Cloud9 has such a comfortable lead, right? Like, they can play this a bit slowly. They can afford to drop a couple of rounds. Meanwhile, on the side of Andbox, you lose this round, and dog, things don't look good.
Oh, that's great info. Now they know they can just walk up a ramp, not have to worry about players on either side. And you can get some close-range fights up there if you use the utility correctly. And look at how the Sky utility is used to get all this info. They know A Heaven's totally open right now. So once again, they can go through ropes. And Mitch is able to punish Sep, who was pushing through B main to get that info. They thought it was guaranteed a committed A play, but no. In actual fact, Cloud9 have once again left themselves open the opportunity to go through ropes to go back to B.
Boy, on an island on B, the paranoia clearing out the space as Leaf dashes his way across, Blast packs his way in. Boy, understanding the pressure is in his front step. He's good for one, but he gets traded out. They've taken, Cloud9 have taken control of the side. Andbox has to show up and fight to take this bad boy back, and that's exactly what Vice has been able to do up until this point. Now Mata looking to move forward as well as Poise tries to get the spike down. Leaf good to draw more attention away, buy him just enough space, enough time to get the spike down. Leaf looking for more, no. Mata takes care of him. Poise looking for a second, yep, gets it. Drops things down to a 1v1. He's got 10 health. Vice is 10 health. Poise with a huge clutch from Cloud9 to arguably, Dan, put the nail in the coffin on Andbox here.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That is a tough one to be on the receiving end of. Andbox, they are certainly in the doldrums. And it's not like Haven, where they're always able to find a way back. And maybe, you know, in these last moments with their back against the wall, we're going to see something that will show some light at the end of the tunnel here for their efforts. But we'll see what they opt to go for here. Of course, you know, buy against buy. The money is pretty stretched for Andbox, so they're having to make some concessions, not with the weaponry that they want. And they've given up presence in mid in favor of having 4 players towards this B main position. Boys will just hold on to Ramen, and they do have Swappy holding on to any push on A main, but they're trying to force out, going to get that orb control and force out utility. Okay, they burned the paranoia. That's a big win. What they could try to do here is reset back into mid and then go back to B, now knowing that there's no paranoia to stop them. But with that said, there's a lot more to worry about, so I'm really trying to find anything I can that will help Andbox in this round.
Yay! All right, that helps. But that's all the help that they're going to get. Ye was in a great spot, but now the middle of the map is wide open. Mata with the blast all the way across. He is able to connect with the showstopper, given all of what was in his face. You could hardly see past the utility, but managed to land the death blow. Anyway, the flashes are going to come out. You see both teams scurrying over towards A, and as soon as they get the rotation from Andbox, Cloud9 pull the rope on it again, exposing the middle of the map, and it's actually Mitch this time who's going to be able to get there aggressively first. Boy shows up just a bit late. He drops. It's actually Poise who shows up in the nick of time to do it, but Mata and Seb good for a couple. Poise with 3. He's got the Empress online as well in a 1v2. Poise slowly playing around the pillar, not making drop of sound. He's quietly looking to get away, but Dan, he doesn't have the spike in hand. He's got 11 seconds. He's got to do something here soon. Drops down. Just a few seconds. Poise, no. Poise not able to do it. Mata shows up with 3 with the Spectre. What a response from Andbox.
Yeah, that was really awesome that they were able to find a way to turn that one around. They were, as you said, they were getting just played like a puppet there. All the strings getting pulled by Cloud9, just manipulating their rotations, understanding how to abuse the rotations, and they had such a great position here, but Seb, that kill on Zeta, that really just helped keep them in it, and Mata somehow with the Spectre just holding it with such strong nerve, and that's 5 to 11. It's still a big deficit, but that's something to work from at least. Money is not amazing for Cloud9, so we'll see Cloud9 playing that early default there with the Ice Orb, Paint Shells combo, just preventing anything from being done on B main. So they have that control. Dark Cover being sent forwards does allow a later take of that position. So that's really nice that Cloud9 are doing, Andbox are doing that, I should say. And they've got 4 players towards B here. They're playing at A retake right now, Doug. That's the gamble here for Andbox.
Well, and you wonder with how many times Cloud9 has gotten in towards A and then really flipped it right back. You just kind of wonder if Andbox is, well, we're not going to get caught by this again. We're just really going to anchor down on B. And as you said, if we need a retake on A, then so be it, but we're not going to be had a third time.
But you can see the Dark Cover in B main, as I said, the late take came in, and that gave the information to Andbox to allow them to play players into A after having the B stack. And they're ahead of the push, actually. So Andbox have done a really good job in the way that they set up this round, and their timings are good. The only issue is that this showstopper could make an entry difference, and it's not going to land from Leaf. And instead, it's going to have to be a retake right now. It doesn't seem like there can be any way to stop this spike from going down, but they can spend the time, Doug, just coordinating around Heaven and Screens to get control back against this spike.
Putting the spike in the hands of Zeta as he tries to get it down. Andbox are just now starting to show up. Boys just flashed to high heaven. Wasn't able to see a damn thing. He's going to fall. Vice good for 2. Looking for the 3rd. No. But it's Mata who gets it as well. Leaf left alone. Leaf good for 1. Not able to get anything other than that. Andbox get another round. And Dan, like we mentioned at the beginning of this round, yeah, Floppy had a sheriff, but otherwise, that was full rifles. That was full armor. That was not necessarily a super weak Cloud9.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think it's just, I just really love how Andbox set up the beginning of their round. They to just recap it very quickly, they play the A retake, they put the dark cover in B main. So despite the default hitting B main and they lose that control early, the dark cover's still there for them to play into it afterwards. They get that B main control. There's no one there. That means they can rotate everybody to A and they're ready to go. They have so much time for the retake. And now that, really gives them the ability to play with some momentum here. And VA's going to just jiggle this mid position. He's doing a lot by himself. As a Sage, very scary. Doesn't want to burn this wall too early on. Another Ice Orb to slow the progress. And Ye is just, his pace right now. He's so active. He really wants to get a fight. He's getting that info. And we've got the Viper's Pit activated towards A main at the same time. So Andbox are really trying to encourage C9 to go towards the B side of the map right now.
Encourage is a very kind way to put what they're trying to do here. Again, the Viper's Pit still blocking any sort of entrance towards A, but for Cloud9, Floppy understanding no one's pushing his way through, they're going to draw some of that back. And they may not, Dan, given how much time is left in the round or how much time has already passed, they may not have a choice.
So smart. It's like they put the Viper's Pit down to stack people on B. So the bluff is called right now. The attack comes through the Viper's Pit when there's not going to be a defense because they're reliant on that ult to just hold it down by itself. And now they have an opening on the A side. It's going to be a tough one here for Cloud9. They are outmanned and outgunned, but where there's a will, there's a way. In a 2 versus 4. Oh, the reach ult is going to be popped, but Poise manages to dodge it. Can't dismiss in time. Leaving it to Zed. He picks up the Phantom, but it's too late for him. Again, good effort. It's it is so funny. I can't wait until there's a team that does the Viper's Pit and then stacks the site with the Viper's Pit. Just full gambling on the... Yeah, exactly. Just gamble on the mind games. But 7-11 and Andbox, they're back in this one, Doug. They really are.
And it looks like we are stepping into a pause right now. Cloud9's taking a bit of a moment to kind of regain and talk through things, which gives us a perfect opportunity to once again kind of highlight what Andbox was trying to do there. So let's start all the way at the top, right? Dan, you mentioned Vice using the Viper's Pit at the entrance to A right off the bat, right? At that point, very similar to the dark cover conversation we've been having the entire series, you're guessing, right? Like you can't comfortably walk into that because, as you said, while it hasn't happened, and I'm anxiously waiting for it as well, there may be a 5-stack on the other side of that green goo waiting to mow you down. So you don't comfortably have A as an option. Then you see them slowly test the waters across the middle of the map, and then guess what? Ye just walls that up while they've been able to take some presence across Garage and B. So by process of elimination, you understand they don't have any options. They have to go into one of those 3, and none of them are good.
Exactly. And right now, ooh, we actually get a wall pop straight away from Ye. And what does that tell them? Ye's usually playing mid. So we get 3 players on Mail right now for Cloud9, or rather, sorry, from Andbox, as they take mid control. So they already have a retake ready to go, and all the lineup for Ye! Oh, you get 3 out of it. That's enormous, and it's gonna have to be a quick from the Shadows play to get some more control, but I don't know what there is to do here for Floppy and Zeta. As I say that, Zeta just charged straight through them, bulldozing them through A Heaven, and once again, it's these shenanigans up ropes into B.
You gotta go, baby. You gotta go. Floppy using from the shadows to ensure that there's nobody on B.
Cover going out.
That's exactly what he's going to find out. It's an open site. Zeta's going to be able to get the spike down, and now it's on Andbox, Vice, and Seb as they try to retake the site. And it looks like they're both going to be pushing in from heaven, so good bit of utility. Okay, and that's the thing, the utility from Zeta. They know where that retake is coming in from. Right, Floppy's going to continue to go in. The paranoia is there. Zeta just buying time for Floppy to get into a great position. Zeta's there. Spots one of the players, and again, keep an eye on Floppy. Vice tapping Floppy, good for one. And oh my gosh, Vice looking to swing and hit him with the freaking haymaker, and the ball's on this guy. He might stick it. He's got to pull off. Floppy goes in aggressive. Floppy challenges, and Floppy wins. Cloud9 get to map point.
That was so beautiful. So, I mean, it looks so doable. The efforts there from Vice. I was just loving just watching that play out in that 2v2. But as you say, Cloud9 on the precipice now are pushing themselves into that Challengers final, into that top 4. And that spray down from Ye looks just... I mean, it seemed impossible to come back from that point. But Zeta was able to show that he can do just as well. And... oh, it's going to be a tough one for Andbox, but they have shown us a lot of success on this defense. They've got a lot of maneuvers, but looks like Cloud9 might try to finish this one off in explosive fashion. Up against the Viper wall here, they don't have to wait it out necessarily. It really depends on what they think is behind that wall. That's really the question. They have any reads. And there goes a dart. Cover to allow the cross towards A heaven. And usually we'll see a sky flash thrown up here so they can get information. But instead, you know, Poise is going to dry peek that against Ye. And that's a 5v4 early advantage for Cloud9.
There's that sky flash that you mentioned. Mata able to dodge it out. So no info gathered. Aaron for Cloud9 after that dry peek. They didn't fully pull the trigger. They actually showed a little bit across the middle of the map, and Andbox had no choice but to kind of respond. They have to respect that. But you even see on the minimap right now, the ping's coming out because they know where they want to hit the play. It's going to be a hit on A as the smokes drop. Now, the one thing is that Mitch is playing back pretty cautiously. Leaf drops first. No, they are going to commit. Mata blasting his way across. The showstopper connects. Mitch is out. Rez offline. The spike is dropped as well.
30 seconds left.
Ooh, lurker on screens might yield something for Poise. If there's able to be a distraction, it doesn't really seem like there's a huge awareness for his position.
And Floppy.
So see what Poise is able to find. It's going to be very difficult, but an opportunity is an opportunity, and Poise is going to get the heal. Oh, there's a second. And now it's just down to Poise. He's lost all of his teammates, and Boy will shut it down. And that is Andbox still surviving. They're still in this one. It's not over just yet. 4 rounds to go to secure that overtime to force the third map.
And Boy there, Dan, it was really Boy who kind of won them that round and put them out of the terrible spot that they were in, because as we mentioned, Poise was pushing in from one side, from screens, Floppy was pushing in from ropes, and they were just sitting ducks there. They had an excellent crossfire where they had all of the site to work with, but the kill from Boy onto Floppy and then the flash to take care of Poise as well really won Andbox that round and put us to be able to play another one. Now, they've got some mixed weapons, right? Like Vice and Ye are both going to have Spectres, rifles the rest of the way, and for Cloud9, I mean, it's even worse.
Loving the Ice Orb lineups to prevent any quick peeks from heaven, but it doesn't even get that far because Boy's going to shut it down again. Oh, awesome round there from Andbox. Seeing all this potential, like all these, you know, the Ice Orb going into heaven, but that all presupposes that they can get out the initial choke point, which never happened.
So Andbox once again showing that they refuse to go down without a fight. The defensive side of this map has been so much more kind and really generous to them as they've gotten themselves to this point. Boy has the Rolling Thunder. Imagine they might try to hang on to that for a retake, while for Cloud9, they still have that res in the back pocket of Mitch, the Seekers, and the Empress as well. And a different wall spot here from Ye.
Got to play once again around B main, but the wall is up. And right now, there is no key. Ye has the key, so he's got the operator in hand, and oh, they're jiggling. They know what Ye likes to do here. Of course, we saw the same thing from Mitch, actually, playing the operator with the Sage on that position behind that wall. So it's a great little tactic. The presence is being felt here, but at the same time, we might get an information play coming in from Andbox elsewhere, because they've got to wonder. They're being entertained right now on this B main control, but it feels a lot worse than maybe it is. And Vice will take down Floppy as the lurk. That should tell them quite a lot, Doug.
You just saw the flash come out from Zeta as well. And now the Seekers are going to come out, so they're fully committing onto this thing. The Rolling Thunder is actually coming in to try to pinch anything across the middle of the map as they're going to blast onto the site. Leaf not able to connect onto anything but the Showstopper, but they've taken some presence onto the site. Leaf, Mitch, and Zeta are extinguishing Andbox's hopes. Vice with 11 health in a 1v4, trying to will Andbox into another round. And this looks like such a difficult ask, man.
It really does seem like a terrifying position for Vice to be in. 11 health, really not anything going his way. 4 players to be up against. Able to take down 1. And with that, Vice is just trying to understand any other possible position he could play, but there is none. That's checkmate. That's Poise taking him down, and that is Cloud9 off to the Challengers Finals. Beautiful stuff